Now that I have the dialogue spotted, I'm going to spot the music and do a real rough cut to align the dialogue to the music. If you feel you already have enough practice spotting music, you can jump to the end of this movie and just see the little rough cut that I do to put the two together. With the soundtrack selected, I'll type LL to reveal its waveform, make sure its audio switch is on, or otherwise I won't see it, and drag its line underneath it in the timeline panel to make that waveform taller. Press Home to go back to the start of the composition, and press the decimal point key again to preview the soundtrack. Okay, there seems to be a few sections to this music. Sort of an introduction before there's any rhythm. So with the layer selected, Option or Alt, asterisk, and I'm going to type intro here at the very start. Drag my time indicator, zoom in a little bit to make sure I've got the right place, and type hit, because that's the first drum hit before we get into the rhythm. And then the rhythm actually seems to start here. Type rhythm start. Zoom back out a little bit. And this music seemed to have a few repeating phrases, or measures or bars is how musicians would refer to them. You'll hear this pattern repeat, and you'll even see it repeat in the waveform, from this beat to this beat, for example. Definitely a repeating pattern to this, so I'm going to go ahead and mark this bar or measure of music, and go a little bit later here, and see what else we have. Oops, I had the wrong audio track selected. That's something you do have to watch out for here. So I'm going to hold Command or Control, click and delete that marker. Make sure I didn't make the same mistake earlier. Nope, I'm good. Come back to here, select the right layer, then Option or Alt asterisk bar. And I think I've got another copy of that repeating pattern down here somewhere. I'll back up just before it and listen. Yep, definitely repeats again there. I have the right track selected, type bar, and let's see what's happening at the end, because I do want to see what's happening with the beats. Maybe I can time some sort of grand conclusion to go along with the ending of the music. I'm going to scrub a little bit later here in the timeline just to see what's going on with the soundtrack. The last bar music seems to start right around here. Last bar, and then the final hit seems to be down around here. I'm going to mark that end hit, and then mark a couple interesting beats that might have happened before that. Before this last bar, there's a beat right there. I'll just go ahead and type the asterisk key on the keypad directly, not bother annotating that. Yeah, that's a nice little lead up there. Go down here to my end hit and mark some of these beats out. There's an obvious one, but I've got a couple other beats lead up to it like this one. And I could mark out additional hit points if I wanted to, but that's a good start. Let's twirl up that layer and start thinking about the timing between the dialogue track and the music track. Let's just do a real rough edit to put the two together. We'll finesse that edit in the next movie. My personal preference is to have the music come up initially as a sort of introduction, then get to the dialogue to build upon the music, and then to have a little bit of music at the end with no dialogue just to wrap things up. So I need to start looking at how these two layers line up with each other. I see that my dialogue track is shorter than my music track, so that's a good start, but it may be still too long. For example, if I line up this first phrase to start at the same time as the body of the music, the last phrase runs well past the end of the music. Well, this wasn't exactly the most vital bit of dialogue in the world, so I can do a little bit of trimming to keep just the phrases I want to use. For example, I wasn't too excited by this first phrase, and I'm going to have just that layer turned on, put my time indicator near it, and press the decimal point key.
Well, I can see I'm going to have to keep my eye on the road.
Yeah, it was a cute joke, but it doesn't have the gravitas that I want from something as important as being on the moon. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the second phrase.
Boy, it's really rolling hills, Joe.
That is a more important phrase to me because he's describing his environment rather than just cracking a joke. So I'm going to place my time indicator near that marker. After I start moving the time indicator, I add the Shift key to snap to my marker, hold Option on Mac, Alt on Windows, press the left square bracket, and trim that layer to start at this phrase. Now I'll click on it and slide it back to start at the same point where the rhythm starts. And again, if I hold the Shift key, markers will snap once they line up to each other. So that's a good lineup. Oh look, the second phrase starts just after the second bar. And this phrase starts just after this bar. Pretty darn close. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to move this layer back a frame or two earlier so that I straddle the timing between these phrases and these bars of music. I could also cut out some of the silence in between the phrases if I really wanted to tighten it up. Well, here's my last bar of music. And here's this phrase that I wasn't too excited about.
Yeah, really do.
I think I can lose that one as well. Now to make sure I don't accidentally get a part of the dialogue, I'm going to press page up to go one frame earlier, then press Option or Alt and right square bracket to trim the alt point of that layer. Now I have my starting point of my dialogue cut to fit in against my music. In the next movie, I'll start mixing the two together to make sure the dialogue is intelligible, but that we still get to hear the music as well.